Prison Talks.
Prison Talks? What's that about?
Yeah, Martha Stewart's diary from when she was in prison. You just make it up.
Whoa. We're going to back-to-back episodes. This is part 2 because Dustin and I have too much to talk about. So, sponsored by Antica Formula Vermouth and Jefferson Straight Rye Whiskey.
Dude, mine is sponsored by Centennial IPA. It's an East Coast IPA, and what I got to tell you is, if you are ever in the East Coast, buy the West Coast IPA because they suck ass.
Dude.
But I'm still going to drink it because I already bought it.
Yeah. West Coast IPAs are where it's at. Now, they make my tummy hurt since I started doing that dieting thing.
Dude, I've been dieting too. Dude, can I tell you? I'm going to interrupt you, but can I tell you about the weirdest dieting thing that I've been doing?
Tell me.
I've been going to the gym a lot. I've been trying to change my body.
You know what? You are looking so good, my friend.
Thank you, man. I've been trying. It's been really fun. But I can't get enough protein, and I just don't I'm tired of eating. And so what I've done is I've started blending chicken, and I drink it. I drink my chicken now.
You drink your chicken?
I drink a cup of chicken a day. Not like a cup, like a full glass of chicken a day. Yeah.
What do you use for like a liquid, added liquid?
Water. It's very cheap.
Water and chicken.
Yeah.
So it's basically extra chunky bone broth with no bones.
No. I got the Vitamix, man. There is a no pulp in this guy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then if I'm feeling excited, I'll add broccoli.
That is, wow. That's
extremely efficient.
Hats off to you. Hats off to you.
Thank you. Don't take your hat off. It's looking fun.
So no, I got 12 more minutes on my laser therapy, and I'm going to be good today. So it connects to. I know that you've got a bunch of ideas, but I'll kick us off here. So under my tall head, is a laser hat.
Oh God.
And I am having laser therapy right now to regrow dying hair cells. Is 90% clinically studied to regrow hair.
Bro, no. Okay, hold on. You know who's been 25 for the last 50 years? Who? Every bald guy. Just become bald. Literally just commit.
My wife can't handle it. My wife cannot handle it. So here I am doing 15 minutes of freaking day on a laser hat, and I kind of love it because it's such a unique product. But I literally have a battery pack, and I have to charge my battery pack, and it is connected to the yarmulke that you saw earlier, and then you put a ball cap over it, and you do, literally I do this while I drive in the mornings.
Okay, this seems like one of those bullshit products that's not going to work, but then again, I put water in a microwave
studies. And
it spins around in a circle and it comes out hot. So weird things happen in life, right? Physics are funny.
I like that. Physics are funny. I don't understand the detailed science of it. I did read their nerdy pamphlet, and the studies seem legit. The way I got this laser hat is through a licensed trichologist in California who happens to be my sister-in-law. Nice. And she went from hairstyling to I want to make more money, so I do hair coloring, to I want to make more money, and hair coloring is hurting people's hair, to doing extensions for cancer patients who which is a big problem. Hair loss during chemo is obviously a big deal, and the only way to maintain some of the beauty you want to hold on to while you're going through that really rough part of chemo is extensions at the end of the day. And then there's all these normal priced, hundreds of dollars extensions that apparently really wreck your hair. So you get a specialist who can do a very certain kind of woven. They're kind of like installing it one weave at a time. And every 6 weeks you go and you get them tightened up so that they don't move on your current remaining thin hair and kind of rub off what you have left. You have to keep tightening it up. Very expensive. So she started making more money and providing more care to people because it's getting more closer to where kind of beauty and health intersect. And that led her to study hair loss of all shapes and sizes. And a couple years later, wouldn't you know it, now She understands my male pattern baldness and the way that my genes are. And she did a little study on me with her super cameras that hook up to her iPhone. And she prescribed me some things. And then she got me a laser hat and had me read the clinical studies because I'm a big nerd. And she gets $400 every time she sells one of these things
How
as
much
a
does it
referral
cost?
fee.
Like if you weren't,
It's a $1,000 hat.
$1,000 hat.
It's a $1,000 hat, and she gets it at 600.
Huh.
It comes in a metal case.
Yeah, the bummer is it looks so gimmicky, right? If they could just make it
you
look
can't wear it out. You can't wear it out. Yeah.
If they could make it look more
but I can wear it in
scientific.
the car and whatever, you know. But it's meant to go under your other ball cap, right? So it's how it works. Is like it's just an insert.
No, it looks like a yarmulke. If they could make it look like, you know what I mean? It's the Dyson effect, right? You buy the Dyson because, man, that just looks better. And
they shouldn't have the wire with the battery pack, right? Someone could definitely like make this a better product.
Yeah.
But they probably will. I'm not sure how the patents hold. They have like a patent wall around this type of use case. But it led me to the first idea I have for you. People can, obviously influencers can make money this way, right? And she's in that industry and she's providing care day in and day out. So when she sees a product recommendation opportunity that actually would work, she can make basically the wholesale markup on this thing. Well, I think somebody could just go call the hundreds and thousands of people like her who don't know the hat exists, and they can collect a few other products that are in this $1,000 to $5,000 premium range, and they can negotiate with the manufacturers for the wholesale price, but distribute it to the installers and influencers. Essentially, you become the channel, the voice that gets the word out to the people who actually are already talking to customers, and you split the fee with them. Now, they don't need to know you're splitting the fee with them, right? So you can call them and say, hey, I'm working with such and such hat company. I'd like to offer you $200 every time you refer one of these hats. It's already ready to go. It's for this. Here's the pamphlet. Here's the materials. But really, it's a $400 wholesale fee that you can get, and just split it with the influencers. But you can carry this on to people who are addressing hair loss on LinkedIn, and I think this can be applied to so many industries. You just got to put yourself in the middle of a premium price product that wants to be moved through influencers and, let's call them installers. That's a weird way to look at hairstylists and estheticians, but I think this can apply in car manufacturing. There's so many little boutique industries like this that have premium products, and they have people who are already doing the work day in, day out with the client. You can just hustle this.
This is a good idea. This is actually a really, really good idea. So I reach out to a company. Let's say I reach out to this beer company, and I say, hey,
it's not premium.
Give me. What do you mean not premium?
Go premium. You want a higher ticket price point. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself.
What if I don't care? No, I want a percentage of whatever the product is. Hey, give me 10% per sale, and here's my specific link. And they say, yeah, there you go. However you do it. And then I reach out to an influencer and say, hey, I'm going to give you 8% a sale or 5%, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. You can't do it on low price point things or liquor for that matter. Because these programs already exist. That is the way that they already grow. So they already have sophisticated programs for that.
Like nobody's getting a lot of people. Okay, let's just be real.
This is called affiliate marketing. What you just said is affiliate marketing.
Well, no. But industry. Like the thing, affiliate marketing has an extremely undertapped resource, and that's podcasting. Podcasters are the stickiest audience, and they will actually do what the podcasters recommend if they actually legitimately recommend it. And most podcasters are honest too, because it's their reputation on the line. So.
And you have to talk to people for a freaking 30-minute or hour-long episode.
Yeah. Man, this is, it seems so obvious. And obviously,
it's a hustle, but it's good.
It would work. It would actually work really well.
You would know better than me. Is there a $2,000 microphone or a $1,500 microphone or camera? Like those are premium products. There's a biz dev person or a channel marketing person. You can look them up on LinkedIn. channel marketing in a lot of product companies would be the title. You don't necessarily want to go after companies that already have an influencer marketing team, because now you're going to get into like internal policy debates with them.
You have to go after B companies and you have to go after C influencers. I hate to say it like that, but like
I agree with you, and a premium price point. So this is at the convergence of those three things.
Exactly,
I agree.
Exactly. Like you couldn't go after, let's say, I use Canon cameras. They're not going to do it because they have a reputation and they have to stay with that reputation, and that makes sense for their brand identity. Absolutely, for
Right.
sure. But Kendall, okay. Let's say I do this to you. You, one of your companies is a dev company where you do.
MiramarStaffing.com.
Yeah.
Miramar
and they're
Staffing.
from Cairo. They're fantastic developers. I hate working with
I will
Indian
give you money
for no reason at all other than that it's a 12-hour difference and it's really hard to talk when you're asleep and they're awake. But this has a much better overlap. So I say, hey, give me 10% for life. And you're like, man, that's a steep number. But I'm like, hey, I'm gonna hook you up. And then I reach out to a different person.
I would negotiate. I will say, I'll give you 20% for the next year. So I would say, I don't want to sign my company up for an in perpetuity thing on a services contract because that involves ongoing labor. It's not a product, but I'll give you 20% this year and for the first 12 months of payments. And then you reach out to someone else who can sell it and you split it with them.
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, I went to coffee with a friend of mine. She's so cool. I want to be sensitive because I haven't asked her if I can talk about this, but she runs a
just say it. We can edit it out if she says no.
Yeah. So she's like 60 plus years old. She runs a homeopathic company that talks about essential oils and things like that. And she's been doing this podcast on it forever. And she's like, hey, I don't know if this is good. Can you just help me out? Like, cause I know you do like a businessy thing. So we go out to lunch and she's like, I have an email list. It's about, I think she said it's about 10,000 subscribers. And I think like between 2,000 and 5,000 listens per episode. And I don't know. I feel like is it good?
Am I doing good?
What should I do? And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Dude, you're doing great.
Yeah. Literally, I told her, I was like, if you want to do well, just start monetizing this thing quickly. Just reach out to whatever company you already support and then work on this and then sell it in 5 years, retire and run off into the sunset and you're done.
Yeah.
Completely done.
I've heard it said this way with podcasting. Close your eyes and picture yourself speaking to 5,000 people in a room.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing every week. And you just don't feel it because you're not getting the immediate feedback energy unless you sell something.
This is the greatest thing. She had no idea. I could have been whatever person offering a product for whatever price, and she would have been happy to take it.
You could have just said, I will make that phone call. And then, yep.
I didn't, because she was a friend. I wanted to just give her really raw and honest information. I didn't want to like treat her as a business partner. But oh my gosh, like there's so many people with this exact audience that are way undertapped, and you could use that for this type of affiliate marketing.
So let's talk about, okay, crypto mining. Remember when that was bigger? That was a whole thing. Classic. Still a thing. Now AI, like hosting, like having basically a certain type of computing power that's pretty expensive in your control is going to be a rising thing now, just like crypto mining was a rising thing that relied on very expensive computer equipment. Reach out to the manufacturers of that very expensive but very niche, piece of computer, server, what have you. Call it a computer, call it a server, call it a rack of servers. Well, now reach out to the influencers who are speaking to that industry. And after you've made your wholesale deal, go, hey, I can offer you this much. You're not offering them a percentage. You're offering them a flat fee. You're keeping the percentage. So if you got 40%, which would be a common wholesale number to get, just whatever 20% is, whatever half of that is, offer it as a fee to the influencers. And if the product you're selling is thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, this will be worth every call. I think the issue people get into is they get an idea of like, I can make 50% of selling bananagrams, to whatever, people who like to play word games. And now you're getting 50% of a $20 item. And it just doesn't scale. You can't make phone calls for that price. So push your brain to be creative on what is multiple thousands of dollars that I could get 40% of, and then make my phone calls and LinkedIn messages and cold emails.
Dude, I would here's how I would do it. I would go to iTunes, I would look at the top podcasts, and then I would go down to the bottom of that list. So your 100th most played podcast, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I would
number
call
100
20
in the
of
niche.
those. Yeah, number 100.
Yep.
And I would look at exactly what is their audience, and then I would just brainstorm, is there a product that matches their audience? If there is, I will reach out to the product manufacturer. And I
That's
say,
right.
hey, I'd like to do some affiliate marketing, blah, blah, blah. If they say yes, then you call your podcast person. If Mr. A doesn't answer, then you call person B, then C, then, go down the
Dude,
line. And if it doesn't work, then do it.
You can do this without calls too. So you can do this with DMs, DM them on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram. The other play here is go join niche communities on Reddit, go join niche communities on LinkedIn and Facebook and Discord and Slack. So in this one, laser hat, right? My laser hat up here. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. I could do this right now. I could be like, I could call these guys and be like, hey, I heard you have a wholesale deal. I'm in the business space and I, sell things. Can my company get your wholesale price? And we would talk about it. And if they say yes and they take our company info down, then I could just go to a Facebook group full of hair specialists and salon owners. I'm sure there are dozens of those Facebook groups, and I could try to join those. And the ones that let me in, I can make this really interesting long form post. It's not very salesy on the clinical study that I didn't generate, they generated. I'm just reposting in layman's terms the clinical study results of 90% effective for hair loss over a 6 to 12 month period for, middle-aged men who wear this thing with, certain kinds of baldness. The people who DM me about it, I could be like, hey, if you want to sell this to your clients when they're in the booth, I'll give you $200 every time that someone buys one. Here's a link, and then go generate a code that's trackable. Or just email me and let me know.
I recall there was a conversation we had a year ago. I think we actually talked about starting a business like this, and we just never did. Maybe we got to go back to the drawing table.
The whole point of the podcast is the business ideas we would do if we had more time.
Okay, we should talk about it really fast. I am regularly inundated with way too many ideas.
Yes, you are.
It throws me off, and so are you, right? Like this is just,
yes, I am.
And it's fun because we ideate, and that's a skill. We get better at it as we go, right?
Sure.
And it's super, super fun, so much fun. But people now approach me with ideas, and I'm like, man, I love this idea. I don't have time. I got other things cooking. You know what I mean? This is one of those ideas. Problem? This would work. I don't have time to do this business.
You're excited.
This would for sure work. Somebody should do this one.
This is a good hustle for somebody with a good amount of problem solving, critical thought, a little bit of salesmanship, a little bit of marketing, not a lot. And just the ability to focus on it. You probably wouldn't want to do something like this if you couldn't do it at least 10 hours a week. So I just don't recommend doing any types of these like distributor or remarketing types of businesses.
You can't drop the ball on it either. That's very bad.
No, it's very customer centric. You remember Charlie? We had him on, maybe 4 months ago. Charlie's been in this type of industry, but for educational products for the last 12 years or 14 years or something like that. We worked together that long ago. And he is a pro in that one industry at this one model. And it generated $100 million for his first company in revenue, and they sold it for a profit. It generated $60 million a year for his next company. And now he's starting a new one. And so it is a very valid business model. And at the core of it is this engine of salesmanship that is essentially, I will call people or talk to people and make deals, and I will generate contracts at the rate of my deal making. And that's it. You're not dealing with supply chain and manufacturing. You're not dealing with complicated finance. You're just scaling a marked up thing, which is a lot easier than recreating the next Walgreens or Costco. You get to skip the complex parts about distribution and offering this to customers because the internet is a beautiful place.
And it's also undersaturated. That's the beauty of it.
It is undersaturated in laser cap arenas.
No, I like, even product aside, I think your product is secondary to the person who's willing to play ball with you with their audience.
Right. If anybody calls me and says, hey, what are the things that you sell that are worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars? Mm-hmm. And can I get a significant cut of that if I bring you a customer? I'm like, heck yeah, absolutely. Because I have inherent sales and marketing costs on every single product.
Okay, sales. Okay. On average, how much percentage of the business is sales?
I freaking love that question. Thank you, Dustin, for asking me the right question today. I'm sorry I'm yelling. I've had a little bit of this Manhattan.
This is a real no, this is a slap in the face that most people need to hear. But
okay. When I used to dig in, so I ran a lead gen company for 2 years. After I did other sales and marketing things, I had 15 retainer customers and I generated leads for them with a team of 5 or 6 people. And we dug into the averages of this. On average, a software or digital product assigned 60% of their headcount to the combo of sales and marketing. Now, sales and marketing, referring to part 1 of this episode, are the highest paid jobs, right? Fulfillment and ops gets paid less and less the further away you get from revenue. We've already talked about that. So if it's already 60% of headcount, it's probably 80% of a digital product goes into sales and marketing. So why am I paying Adobe, whatever the hell it is, $150 a year for this one product? It's because they are paying $100 of that $150 probably to their sales and marketing costs to deliver me, a converted customer, that product. It's not because of their cost of engineering. Now, it's important to remember we live in a free market, so they're not just marking it up to what they want. They can do that temporarily until competition sets in, and then it drives costs down. And that's why when we lay off people, we primarily lay off sales and marketing. But the reality is sales and marketing are more than half of any company's serious expenses. Even if you're a physical product, it's more than half.
I so agree. And I see this so often get completely mixed up with people. And historically, there have been so many incredible products that should have taken off or would have taken off. Like the CD or DVD was around 10 years before it was adopted because they couldn't freaking sell the damn thing, right? Sales, half of your business. I completely agree.
I feel like if people can understand that that's the true cost to the people running these businesses, then they'll have more confidence to just pick up the phone and say, if I bring you a customer, what's it worth to you? If somebody asked me that question, I would tell you a real quick gut answer. Well, if I'm already paying my company overhead, 50% of my bills are those costs, sales and marketing, then I have no qualms about giving you 25% of what that customer would generate for me, right? I might even give you 50%, right? Depending on scenario, depending on if I'm dealing with like a throughput issue. If I'm full, we're booked out, we don't, every customer is a sensitive onboarding issue, then I wouldn't do that. But if I want new customers and I'm nervous about where to get them, it is a matter of simple negotiation. Like, I don't think that incents me enough. Would you pay more?
I fully agree with that. I was thinking, though, it more applies to when I see people build businesses, and I have done this myself, so maybe I'm just preaching to me, but if you can't figure out a way to sell the product before you build the product, you're doing it wrong. And that sounds a little bit ass backwards, but it's not. It's not. I swear to you.
You're right. So here's another percentage. So when we did retail mass market brokering, this was 8 or 9 years ago, we turned down the contract with the product company if they couldn't get their cost of goods landed, which means you've paid for the product to be made, you've paid for it to ship across from China to the US, and you've paid for it to be in your warehouses ready to go to a retailer. If they couldn't get that under 22%, we wouldn't even help that customer. Be like, you're going to go bankrupt if we help you. If we help you
Dang.
get spread.
I love that you like had it down to a 22%. You really had it down to the individual decimal.
It was yeah, because we knew what every leg, what each broker in the chain, what the corporate overlords at Costco and Walgreens and Walmart and CVS and Rite Aid, and we knew what everybody would squeeze to, and they all deal in percentages. And the product inventors or product owners, they don't know this yet. They're about to learn a lesson of the hard knocks, and the industry preys off the people with ignorance. I saw this this week on TikTok. The most expensive lesson that you are paying for this week is the lesson of what you don't know. If you make $100,000 this year and you want to make $1 million this year, every week that goes by, you're paying, or every year that goes by, you're paying $900,000 for the knowledge you don't yet know. It's really, really important to understand we don't live in a capped society. You've been groomed and taught that we live in a capped society. But at the end of the day, you could obsess over whatever goal it is, and someone out there has the knowledge to close that knowledge gap for you, and that's the most expensive thing you're paying for. That is what I've seen happen over and over and again with entrepreneurs, whether it's a physical product or a digital product or a service. It doesn't matter. Literally, you need to close that knowledge gap, and you need to be obsessive over it because it's the most expensive thing that you're currently already paying for. You just don't realize you're paying for it.
Okay, I like this. I want to add to this. So we just had a conversation with a friend of ours, and that person was very knowledgeable. However, there is a small reality that a lot of knowledge has to be hard fought for. You can't read about it. And so it has to be a two-pronged approach. You have to be obsessed with learning. And I mean obsessed, right. Truly obsessed. If you're not obsessed, you're going to fail. Right. It's going to suck. If you're not obsessed,
someone will beat you. Someone who is obsessed will beat you.
They'll destroy you. I feel like you have to be obsessed just to even get in the area. Room. But you don't have to be obsessed forever. Just 10 years, whatever. But there's also a large reality of some knowledge has to be fought for and learned for. So think of the example of love. So have a person who's never been in love describe love to you. They won't get it. They will have no clue. They won't understand. They'll try. Based on PG-13 movies. The exact same thing. You have to fail. You have to get into the fight. And then once you're doing that, you will actually understand things. So you have to do both. We talked to somebody recently who was extremely well learned. However, not a lot of like freaking get the job done on their own. And I was massively underwhelmed. Maybe you can use better language than me.
Well, honestly, like I think what we were talking to, there is a big difference between a smart person who enters a corporate system and a scrappy person who's a jack of all trades, and is willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Both paths have legitimacy. Our show, if you're listening to this, recording, you probably are not taking the typical corporate path. Or if you're already in the corporate path, you're looking for a way out. So I don't think I have any qualms to say it is just a trap for the people who don't want to be there that invites really smart people to be ground down to the basic elements of ground turkey. This is what it turns you into. And then they'll put you in tacos and you will be an upper middle class taco that some corporate overlord will eat. For entrepreneurs or people like who are paving a unique path, it's important to know when you need to be smart, when you need to work your ass off, when you need to let go. That's a lesson that I'm learning. And when you need to administrate. And that is really hard for any brain to do all of those phases, all those things. But But if you get the equity first, then there are other people who can help you do the other things. You just have to recognize it's a process of you knowing what you're good at and then letting other people do it. So I think all personality types can start a business, grow a business, and succeed at a business if success is a definition of making money, which obviously there's more to it than that. But anyone can do it. It doesn't require brains. It doesn't require hustle. It doesn't require decision making. It doesn't require resources. It requires all of those things. But the first person who gets to the definition of what this company is and is willing to risk it gets all the leverage downstream. And then you can hire other people who are good at the other things that you're not to do them for you. So I don't know. I'm a big fan of safety through control. And the control freak in me is, I'm going to accept this capitalistic setting we find ourselves in as a blank slate for me to figure out what I'm best at and what other people are best at. I'll do what I'm good at. You do what you're good at. Let's do it together.
That's funny. You know, I never thought about this, but I've had more corporate jobs than you have. And
that is weird.
Yeah. We've never really talked about this. And I want to get you a bunch of ideas I have. I'll just say it straight up. It was easier. It was so much easier doing any type of corporate job. I guess, okay, here's an example of one. Done a lot of production jobs. I've done a lot of sales jobs. The sales jobs were honestly the easiest in my opinion because I didn't even have to fight for the leads. They would just come to me. It was just fantastic. Oh, that's gross. He's removing his hat. It was just great. I didn't have to worry about a thing. But I also died inside and it was terrible. I don't like dying inside. Anyways, I want to pitch you some ideas, Kendall. Oh, it's so depressing. Easy money in sales, though. I'll say that. I should go back.
Easy money for the right personality types. If you're the wrong personality type, abort, get the fuck out and go do a marketing job.
Oh, we're going to have this is fun. I said the F word one episode. Now you're saying it finally. This is great.
Do we have to bleep those? I don't even know.
I've never bleeped it out. Okay. I have a lot of ideas for you, but within small niches. And so I want to ask you.
Okay, pitch me.
Okay, I'm going to pitch you a few, and then I want to go through a large category. So here's the first one. Cardboard manufacturing. It's actually not as expensive as you'd think. You just make the template and it goes. What we could do for schools, young students, and things like that is we could cardboard manufacture musical instruments. Wow, that sounds crazy. Yes, we can. And it has been done, but nobody's done it in mass. And I think we could do it in mass, and we could drive the price of all of that down, down, down. A drum set now costs $50.
Whoa.
And what parent wouldn't want to buy a lot of parents for drums, but you can buy them with quiet heads.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Like,
can I get a cello? Can I get a cardboard cello?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
picking
you
up
actually
cello.
can. And that's the problem for a lot of people is it's a middle and upper middle and beyond that class type of instrument because it's so damn expensive. But if your kid wants to learn it and you can get in for less than $100, then you're doing the world a better. It's a good service, man.
It's like me. I think we've talked about how many kids I have. It's a substantial quantity.
Yeah. Buy them all an instrument. See how much it costs.
I am currently renting the instruments, right? It's worse than buying them. It's worse. I'm renting them because by the time you look at the bill at the end of the year, you should have bought the instrument.
Yeah.
I think I have a clarinet and a trumpet that I still am renting this year, and neither child is paying for those. We also have bought ukuleles, guitars, children's guitars, and have rented a cello. We have pianos, we have drums, we have a kid's drum set, we have an adult drum set. Our family is a little bit musical. So I am very in tune with the prices of instruments. The problem with instruments is I don't know if my kids will enjoy it enough to actually keep going.
Yes.
So I keep getting offers of rent instead of own because it is the version of try before you buy that are basically the parental community has adopted. If you could give me the ability to buy, I have 4 kids who are old enough to play. let's say 4 ukuleles. If you can get me 4 ukuleles for the price of one, and they all get to try it, dude, I'm your first customer.
No,
So
not only that, think of this. You buy your 16-year-old daughter a car. You don't buy her a nice car. Why? Because
you buy
we
her
were
a
all
Toyota
16.
Camry from 1998.
Yes, because when she crashes it, and when we all had our accidents, yeah. So these musical instruments that you're renting, you don't have to pay for the insurance because
Oh my
it's
gosh.
cardboard.
Dude, I love this. I love this plan. So you must have already looked into manufacturing. This is possible.
Yeah, it's already happening. It's just not happening.
It's not well marketed.
Large scale. Yeah, not at all.
So you must know by now that my father-in-law is operating a very large cardboard manufacturer in Thailand.
No, I didn't know it was cardboard. This is fantastic.
They make all the shoe boxes for Adidas like worldwide. So 90% to be fair. It's only 90% to be fair. And then they're getting, I think, 8% of Nike shoe boxes worldwide. It's a pretty big freaking manufacturing operation. And they do it in Portland. So that's in Asia. He used to run all of Asia Pacific, labor and green initiative and operational health. So he was the guy who oversaw that this is done well and to the standards of the big people who might get sued for doing it wrong. Pretty cool little niche they've carved out for themselves. Well, they found out that if they hired a few cardboard engineers and designers in Portland, put them in a bougie area, then their corporate customers would fly in to see their little design, shop.
That's smart.
And then lead them to a, worldwide sale. So they have a pretty sophisticated design set up there. And even though you didn't mean to T-ball this for me, I bet I could reach out to Brian and be like, hey, what would it take for your designers to take the pre-existing drum or ukulele or guitar or cello or designs, and then actually give you a new version, a modern version of those that we could ship, because we can do the sales and marketing for you. And if we do the sales and marketing and you do the design and manufacturing and the quality control, we got a whole business. Parents want this everywhere.
Yeah, they do want it everywhere. And the sales and marketing would be really fun too. It would be pretty easy, I'd say. It's a ball on tee. It's everybody knows they obviously want this. Like there's no, hey, do you want a cheaper version with low stakes? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically you're saying I can make you a ukulele for under $10 my cost, and I can make you a drum set for under $10 my cost, and I can make you a guitar for under $10 my cost, and a cello, and what's the viola and a viola.
Mm-hmm.
Probably can't touch a piano, but all of those lines now can be distributed to ads to parents who have kids in band, which is an extremely accessible ads market on Facebook. So if Facebook and Instagram will have the data to know which families are obsessed with some sort of music.
Dude, are you close enough with this guy? You can just send him, I could send you a link or something. Just say, hey,
I mean, he WhatsApps me every week. Yeah.
Bro, you should ask him. That would be a fun thing to do.
Can you send me a link of what would
content?
Send me like something that he can review, that here's how the other people are doing it. And if he can send that to his designers and say, can you get this done? Then, I mean, we have the makings of a business. I like this idea. It's
also a business we wouldn't have to do. Like we could outsource the majority of it all.
Oh man. Good one.
Okay.
Well done, Dustin. Okay.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
So in the scale of things, that is not a multi-million-dollar company. That is not a $10,000,000 company. That is not an octa-million-dollar company. I think that could be a company that approaches $1 billion, maybe 2, 3, because you're talking about disrupting the way people learn how to create music.
Okay,
which is a much higher quantity of people than musicians themselves.
Let's even take it the next step. Let's call our friend Charlie at that point, and we say, hey, Charlie, we want to put this in every
school sales
in America.
Yeah, he's
doing this. He's already done that. He's done that.
Yeah, he knows every. So I will say this for Charlie. He probably knows off the top of his head 90% of the schools over 10,000 school districts over 10,000 students, like in a list in his head. He could probably recite it from memory. That's how deep he is. And he probably, with 1/4 of those, knows the first name of the decision maker of the school district.
This would be a fun side project for us, a fun $1 billion side project for us. We should do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I have
Sounds like a lot of
idea.
steps.
I know.
Give me the contact, and then we'll see what Brian
The
thinks.
easiest step is just talk to your father-in-law. Okay. We talked a lot about podcasts. Would you like me to pitch you 2 podcasts that I think should be made, or would you like me to talk to you about newsletters?
Podcasts.
Okay.
Especially because I'm starting a couple others, so maybe you'll disrupt one of them.
Oh, yeah. No, this is totally different than yours. I think so, at least. I want to do these podcasts. I think they would be amazing. Okay. First podcast is called I Will Change Your Mind. And it's just, yeah. And it's just every hot topic and the topics behind the topics that people don't understand. Like everybody believes, whenever anybody looks at things they don't understand, it's usually a nearsighted solution, right? They think, okay, well, why doesn't this happen? Oh, because of this. It's very obvious. But what they don't know is, well, behind it, right? So,
so the recipe for a podcast is $10,000 of gear, 3 hours a week of time, and talent, raw talent. The talent is the hardest part. How are you going to get talent to execute that podcast?
Oh, well, I guess this was thinking of a podcast that I would do. It has to be somebody
You are quite talented, learning. My friend. Could you do this? Could you recruit high-performing early career lawyers to do this for you in a spectrum?
No, not lawyers. We don't want lawyers. We want people who are the most well-read people on earth.
Lawyers and scientists are the best indicator of something. Like, yeah, they're a great indicator of that.
I'm thinking economists.
Ooh,
yeah.
So MBA, like MBA and economist graduates.
Yeah, behavioral economists specifically. You've read the book Freakonomics?
I have not read Freakonomics. I understand what it's about.
Sure, you've heard about it, but basically, it's like, oh, did you know that this is connected to this, and then it changes your mind about everything? You're like, holy crap! I had no idea.
You would be good at this podcast.
It'd be so fun, right? Like there's this funny statistic. Did you know that legalizing abortion cuts down on abortion? Well, that's funny. How does that work? Right. So then the podcast, I Will Change Your Mind, goes into it. Right. Things like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I think that would be so much fun to do. And then you just have to be an expert on all these things, or you just have to be very well read. And then you can talk to and interview people who are smarter than you.
But you don't scale. So as a business, that's a terrible business, but a really interesting podcast.
I'm okay with that. In the context of, if it's going to make you the person you want to be in 5 years from now, then for sure do it.
That's a nice sentiment.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. Second podcast. It's right up the same thing. Right up the same alley. It's I Will Teach You How to Think.
Ooh. This one's more mass market. Because I don't know that I want, so if you think about the dopamine I want when I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling anxiety about work, I don't really want to be argued with. I don't want to be pushed off my beliefs. I want my beliefs to stay as they are. Not yet. I haven't even had enough coffee to change my beliefs today. But I do want help on, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling confused. I want help on how to think. I think the second one is more mass market.
It's more mass market. It's really interesting stuff. This kind of lines up with things that you and I already consume. Think of oh gosh, what's the name of that one author that everybody reads? He did Blink, he did Outliers, he did
that's Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah. Yep. So think of that style of content, because that changes how you think about the world. You think about things differently. Or think about even, you like Jordan Peterson. I can't stand the guy. But think of things like that.
Wait. I would like you to substantiate why you don't like Jordan Peterson.
He talks about things like he's an expert on them, but he is not an expert on them. Now, I say that as the pot calling the kettle black, because I do the very same thing. However, I've never professed to be an expert. He
can
has
only
a
know what they know.
PhD in psychology. He does not have a PhD in theology. He does not have a PhD in economics or anything like that. And so he quotes things that are wildly out of context. And every debate he's gotten in, the Zizek.
How is that different than Joe Rogan?
Oh, Joe Rogan never said he was that. He never said he was the expert. He's talking to people.
Got it. So it's the tone, it's the confidence, it's the claims that's driving you crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So this podcast, I will teach you how to think. I can't do that one. I could maybe do that one in 10 years. You need somebody who's actually smart. You need a philosopher, and a philosopher who can speak things in normal context, right? Who can explain things like mimetic desire and explain, hey, this is how your desires.
You're pretty good at that. You're pretty good at this stuff.
10 years.
I mean,
man. In 10 years.
10 years. Yeah.
In 10 years.
So, well, here's my pushback on that.
Yeah.
You don't have to ship a product that's ready on day one. Let me reference a Malcolm Gladwell book.
Please.
There is a tipping point. That's the title of the book. Spoiler alert. That comes once something has already been early adopted. So your job in the early days, when you, for example, may not be ready yourself, is to speak to the early adopters of this concept, which is less than 10% of people statistically. If you can get those early adopters, 10%, to go, this is a good podcast. This is helping me understand how to think. This is good principle. I want more. Then they tell their buddies tell their buddies, and the referral game is on. That's what makes an exponential, game. So that would buy you the time, because it would take you a couple of years on the podcast How to Think to get to the point to where not just the early adopters are excited, but the referrals of the early adopters. Early adopters are like me. I'm an early adopter. I kind of see a thing as hit. I absorb it. I'm excited about it. It's new. It's shiny. I work to understand it, and I tell someone about it. Mm-hmm. I'm in that 10%. That doesn't mean I'm right. It just means I adopt quicker than other people because the frame that I use for life is a little looser than most people's. The rest of the 90% of people are more rooted in the way they do their daily rituals, their weekly habits. Their principles are more set, and they listen to the early adopters. That's what Malcolm Gladwell argues. I think you could start that podcast now and hit your compounding on that 7th year that you're proposing, is closer to, you need 10 years for that. I bet it will compound around the time that you actually get really good at how to think.
That could be true. It would be...
It's risky emotionally.
Let's say somebody did this and if they could continue and they could grow, they don't even have to grow significantly, but if they can get better at it consistently, then 100%, I would say I'm 99% sure that at the end of it, you will be successful enough to pay for your life, and you will probably get speaking gigs at many places, and it'll work. For sure to work. Also, think about this.
If you play that game, you need to be ready to be hated.
Oh, yeah.
You need to be able to deal with the hate.
No. But like the content is, okay, Kendall, a lot of people think a good life is an easy life, right? Like I'm on vacation all day long. Yeah, it's total bullshit. You and I know that, and most people know that. However, an 8-year-old doesn't know that.
An easy life is a depressed life.
Exactly.
In my experience.
Absolutely. No. So it's like a fool lives a happy life, but a wise person lives a meaningful life.
Yeah.
Kids don't make you happier. They probably make your life a lot harder, but it is way more meaningful. Way more meaningful, right? So this is what I'm talking about.
I changed a couple of shits today.
Yeah,
David poops his
doesn't
pants
sound fun
every
to me,
day.
right?
And you know what? When he smiles at me, my life has meaning and depth in a way I can't even describe.
There you go. And that's way more important than being happy. But that's a hard pill to swallow. You could call it that, hard pills to swallow.
Luckily, you just have to sow some seed. You don't have to swallow anything. And then you can have a baby, and then it's a slippery slope, and then you're finding meaning in life. So shout out to all you pregnant, accidental parents out there.
Yeah, okay. Also think that would be the most fun. That would be a really rewarding podcast to do. If you did that for 3 years straight, you'd be like pretty happy with yourself, even if nothing came of it. I feel like you'd be a better person. Okay, I want to talk to you about newsletter ideas. Are you a fan of newsletters for businesses?
I'm thinking while
think about it.
let me pause and think.
Okay.
Am I a fan of
You
newsletters?
anything? Do you need another drink or anything?
I've got plenty more. I've got more ounces of shout out again to Antica Formula, the best vermouth that exists.
I do like vermouth.
Honestly, your whiskey and your bourbon can be swapped out pretty generously. Generously, your vermouth cannot. You need to be careful about what vermouth you put in that shit. I recognize the power of newsletters in the last 10 years. And they were good businesses. I think they are more commoditized, more facing the upward difficulty or the headwinds of spam filtering. And the winner take all element of the future is you have to be a freaking good writer and a freaking good thinker to win the newsletter game of the future. So I'm cautious on newsletters, though I accept that the distribution method of all newsletters is everywhere. Email is in everyone's life. That is as common as a Kleenex is. So if you would just look at that and say, cool, it's in everybody's world. That gives me a much bigger market. How do I outcompete? That's square one. If you accept square one, let's move on to step two. Are your newsletters actually good, or are they yet another noise in a clanging cymbal world?
Yes, there's one beautiful thing that you can do though, is all you have to do is send the first newsletter and see if people open that. If they do, then you know you're in the right direction.
That only tells you if the subject line and first half of the first sentence preview is good.
Just make the subject line the actual name of the newsletter and then see if people open it. Okay, here's what I think you can do.
I had one called The Pivot, by the way.
Oh, you had one?
Did you like that? How did I do on the title? The Pivot.
Okay, realistically, I like the title. It sounds nice. I have no idea what it's about. I'm imagining I'm changing
in a business context.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I would read
Turns out somebody else beat me to it. They scaled it, and the pivot exists, and I had to let mine die. I think I have the domain.
Well.
Anyways, continue.
You have thepivot.com?
Not .com, but maybe I do. I don't know. I have like 50 or 60 of those. I have to check.
Okay. Here's what I propose. We're in the advent of AI. Writing's around. It's a rat race with all of that. It's a, who can get to the gold first. And so I think we can apply that to the newsletter context, as many already have, but let's get way more niche about it. Here are my newsletter ideas, and I want you to tell me which one you think would be successful. I have like 40 of them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm serious, man. I think this would, these are all, okay, look at this. These are all newsletter ideas.
Holy crap.
Right? Okay, I'm just going to go and you just stop. Okay, a newsletter following any celebrity. Literally pick a celebrity and say, this is Selena Gomez's newsletter. It tells you everything about this specific celebrity.
From a third-party perspective.
Third-party perspective. It's only about them. It's like a tabloid for one person.
I'd pay $5 a month for the ones that I follow.
For sure you would. Absolutely. You don't have to do this. Sell ad space. Okay. A Move Here Jet Setter newsletter. Like
move
places
here,
you
what?
can move. It's a newsletter just dedicated to places you can move.
I've never been in that season of life. I'm unqualified to pass judgment.
Okay.
I've never moved.
Like the wanderlust.
I've lived in the same
you,
city. I have wanderlust, but I go backpacking in the Trinity Alps.
Okay. Essential oils newsletter. Obviously, that's oversaturated. Eat this recipes. It's just a different recipe every day.
Eat this. I'm not sure if that's like a dirty newsletter or if that's like a spicy things newsletter or like an exotic foods. I need more color to know what I'm setting up for.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. The Charlie Munger newsletter. Boom. Done. You're gonna read that.
I would pay. So that one I would pay $200 a year. If you hit me with paywall, and you said you cannot have access to this exclusive insider take on Charlie Munger's everything,
Right.
unless you pay $200 up front, I would probably do it.
Okay. This is kind of close to the eat one. It's a soups newsletter. It's just a newsletter that teaches you different soups.
Nope. I have. Nope. Nope.
You wouldn't. Somebody would. Okay, here's a fun one. The Centurion newsletter.
Don't do that business.
It's news, but it's delivered like it was 100 years ago.
I feel like Centurion is a Roman reference, not 100 years ago.
It's like a century. Oh, whatever.
I see.
Okay. A coding newsletter, but you can have it bespoke to whatever coding language, and it's just a different problem each day so that coders can grow. It's a huge culture that people want to grow in. So it's like, it's a new problem every day.
So Python problem of the day. .com.
Yep. You can also adapt this to any professional test that people have to take. Oh, I'm taking.
If it was interactive, test? I would do it. Yep.
No, you want a newsletter because you want people to have.
But I wouldn't pay for it. Okay, so
no, you don't have to pay for it. That's the thing. If you can get 20,000 opens, you can make money off of it.
Okay, mathcounts.org was the math organization that I competed with in junior high. Oh. They have a problem of the week situation like this, and to this day, I follow it.
There you go. Okay, it's fantastic. Okay, here's what I want to do. I'm gonna read like 10 of them, and then tell me which one of them stands out to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, sociology newsletter, stoicism or something similar newsletter, dad jokes daily, mom jokes daily, a change my mind newsletter,
mom jokes daily.
Yeah, okay, that'd be fun. A newsletter dedicated to duck hunting, a flat Earth newsletter.
Yeah.
Out the Earth is
duck
flat.
Hunting. Flat Earth is done. Duck hunting, yes.
Yes. Okay. Etiquette daily, just daily etiquette. A Freud newsletter, a Jung newsletter, a spouse prompts. So prompts you would ask your significant other questions.
Spouse prompts and a before Jung. What did you say?
Freud.
Nope. Before that.
Psychoanalysis, boats, watches, etiquette.
No, before that, etiquette, and mom's daily, and yep.
Okay. Sex positions newsletter, a homeless tips newsletter.
That's done so many times. Homeless tips newsletter.
That'd be fun.
Okay. That is not a valuable audience. What advertisers would pay for clicks.
It's more of a joke than anything else, but it would open your eyes to a lot of interesting things.
True.
It'd be fun. It would just be fun to make. LSAT test questions every single day. Nurse test questions every single day. Romantic novels every single day. Ex-girlfriend horror stories newsletter. Wedding DJ sets. Okay, here's a fun one.
Okay, can we go back to test questions?
Sure.
If you made test questions a collection of the top 20 tests that our society currently values, right?
Yeah.
So like LSATs are big, right? But they kind of wax and wane with the times. If you gave me my scores ongoingly, think Wordle. I get to see my scores ongoingly across multiple tests. So these are LSAT questions. These are the nurse practitioner questions. These are SAT questions. These are whatever, the bar questions. And you gave me every day a randomness, and I just tried my best to answer it. But you collected my different scores in aggregate, so I could see all 10 or 20 of my trending scores and then share those. That seems viral. That seems substantive. That seems automatable. It seems like a good freaking business.
Dude, the whole point is that there are so many different ideas and you could just try any of them, see if they catch. And they're not going to pay off now, but they will pay off in a year and they will pay off big time in 5 years. They would all, some of these would work.
If they catch,
some of them would not.
Keep going.
Okay, I want to, bedtime stories, daily, things like that. Here's one that I really thought was fun. I want to do news, but from the perspective of famous dead people. So, yeah. But I think that could be a Twitter account. Here's another one. You know how Harry Potter's a thing? I think it would be fun to do a newsletter that's Harry Potter's diary. And so it's each day, it's just a diary entry from the day that happened there. And it's concurrent.
Also sounds like a Twitter.
Yeah, it could totally be Twitter. Yeah, absolutely. Obscure history daily. Business books daily, just reviewed books every single day. There you go. Prison talks.
Talks? What's that about?
Yeah, Martha Stewart's diary from when she was in prison. You just make it up.
Whoa.
Dude,
Whoa.
I had so much fun coming up with
What if it was
this.
Celebrity Prison Encounters and that was a book that you paid
Yeah,
for?
you
So
could.
every celebrity who was imprisoned then shares their.
So funny, man. It's. I just think
I think
newsletters
you're
would be
making the
so
point that
fun.
content is king. That's what I hear in all of this. Content is actually a massive industry with tons of consumers, the ability to niche down. It has guardrails on the expenses. You can control the expenses, keep them from ballooning, and you can maximize whatever catches fire. It's like an R&D department where you don't know which thing's going to catch, but when something catches, you just keep going on that thing.
It's exactly that. If you can stay in the center of communication and what people read, then you will have many, many opportunities. I do think newsletter is a fantastic opportunity. I think you get paid 1 penny per open. That's what you can easily market it out for different people. So if it snowballs, it's great. If you can put 3 ads in a newsletter and you do each
So
newsletter
on
makes you
20,000 opens, you get $200. Is that the math?
per ad. So if you had 3 ads, how much you making? $600.
Got it.
So
Okay.
if you're releasing that 3 times a week, pretty good.
Got it.
And if it snowballs from there to 200,000, then to 2 million, then you're doing okay.
Is a penny per open the going rate, or where'd you get that number?
Yeah, it is the going rate. There's a lot of different rates and a lot of different numbers out there that seem to be the average that I saw.
I am going to ask Chat freaking GPT-4
Oh yeah, ask
this
her,
question right now. Why you got to go get binary on me?
bro. Why'd you assume that it was a he?
I didn't. I assumed it was a they.
Fair.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it will be a they. It will be a they.
Kendall won this episode of How to Think.
Good job.
Gosh. Okay, so how much per open?
Oh wait, I want to pitch you a few more while we're doing it because some of them are funny.
As a
Hitler's diary. How about that?
Oh my gosh,
That'd be
newsletter.
so funny.
Company on average, newsletter from Hitler is hilarious, but not mass market.
What are you talking about? People are upset. Have you met any middle-aged male? He's obsessed with with either cooking meat or World War II.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
True.
I'm close. However, calculating average RPO for all newsletter companies can be difficult. Benchmarks. Average revenue per open of 10 cents to 30 cents. Bro, 10x that shit. 10x that shit. And
I'm way off.
And now this is 2021 numbers, right? But we haven't divided by 10 since then.
If you can any one of those, you could just put it out there, see if there's any traction, then let it run. And if you just run ads and you say it costs you 3 cents to get a subscriber and you get 10 cents off that open, then you're in a great spot.
Okay, let's be real. That's revenue though. So in order to get that advertiser who paid you that 10 cents, you needed to pay somebody to make that sales phone call. So that's your actual cost of doing business.
All you have to do is find 3 new ones each month. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a new one each newsletter. You say, hey, do you want to be on for a series of 7?
but I feel like you still need at least one salesperson to find those 3.
You'll need a salesperson. But if you built a newsletter company, not around a single newsletter, but around many newsletters.
Just shipping newsletters, period. Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, I agree that form of content is a sustainable, repeatable way to grow business.
It would be fun for some of them. For some of them, it wouldn't be fun. But
I have a question for you, Dustin.
Yeah, please.
Why are you going to get a philosophy degree or whatever in Oxford when you could just pursue making millions of dollars this way?
Yeah, that's a great question. To be honest,
wait. Do you swear that whatever you're about to say is the truth?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I swear.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I think so. Yeah, I don't try to lie. Every now and again it happens. Okay. One, I have a nasty problem with romanticizing higher education. I really want to do it. I've always wanted to do it. So that's one thing.
I get that.
Two, I want to move and live overseas with my wife before we have children because I am very
Brilliant.
a huge believer in a global society.
Yep.
Not that it's good or bad, but that it is just here.
No, it's
And
better. It's better.
I would agree it's better. And I would like the option to, let's say, maybe raise our kids in Italy or France or
Hmm.
Taiwan or wherever we want to do. I don't want to be stuck or pigeonholed. And a lot of people, okay, here's a statistic for you. Most people die within 10 miles from where they were born. That
Shit.
is
That's a
okay.
burn on your face, Kendall Bachman.
I know, I know. That is
I'm
okay
still
if you
within 10
choose
miles of
it.
where I was born.
Oh my gosh.
I think I'm about 8 miles away from the hospital.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. Um, hey, we were born in the same hospital and months apart. So that's okay.
Yep.
Um,
Right.
I don't think that's a problem. I think that is a problem if you let it happen to you and you don't want it to happen to you. And I think that you
Correct.
get the opportunity to look other places and look around you and think, wow, do I actually want this? Right. So when you dated that girl in high school, maybe she was the best girl for you, but maybe not. You didn't know that until you got a little bit older and you were able to look to your left and your right and say, man, maybe Suzanne's not really, the thing that would be the best for me. So yeah, we want to travel. We want to experience places. I love higher education. It's so fun. You get to be around with a bunch of people who are thinking crazy, outlandish ideas. But here's the big problem. A lot of freaking schmucks who are in higher education don't do shit with their life. They just talk about doing shit. And I hate that. So there you go.
So, A Tale of Two Brothers.
Oh,
I have 5 brothers. Did you know that?
I didn't know you had 5.
Oh, crap. I have 4.
I
I
have,
have a
I
5th
only know 2.
stepsister. Yeah. So I have 2 stepbrothers and a stepsister, and we're all pretty close. Um, one is a chef. One is a high-end chef. Love his journey. It makes sense to me. He went to Sonoma. He studied under some great, chefs. Um, he made me this braised lamb, you know, reduction red wine sauce from Sonoma that blew my mind one year on his birthday. And I get it. I get his journey. My other brother went to South Korea, left where we live, Reading. And he went to South Korea and he studied international patent law. And then he went and worked for the International Patent Office. So he went to traditional business school and then, ended up leaning towards international patent law. He worked in the South Korean government, literally in the South Korean government as an American, to work on the teams that brokered how patents get negotiated between here and China and Taiwan and Ukraine and London, Europe, England. There's so much nuance to what he learned there. I've never been to South Korea. He has. I started making babies. I've been here the whole freaking time. I've traveled a little bit for vacations and, the most has been 3 or 4 months. I've never lived somewhere else. Then my stepbrother became a parachute jumper, the smoke jumpers, who literally there is a fire. The world is on fire over here. I'm going to get in a 1960s plane because that's what the government buys for this. And I pack my own parachutes. I literally sew them myself. I repair the patches myself. And I jump out of them with a chainsaw. He literally jumps out of planes with chainsaws to cut down trees to put out forest fires that might hit scale. Really interesting life, right? Then my stepsister is working for organic meat farms that are doing better, less methane, but higher quality tri-tip than anybody else. She's also doing the oils thing and the health practitioner thing. And then my final stepbrother moved away to San Diego to go get his PhD in higher medicine, where I don't understand the type of I don't even know, medicine that he studies, science that he studies, medicinal science. But he literally is in the labs where they're fabricating new testing types of drugs that might hit the market. But he is a career education person. He will continue, and he has continued for the last 10 years, in only making money from the very places that took his debt. And he will continue in that because he's pursuing almost this infinite appetite of further knowledge in the sciences. And there's a whole career track for that. He'll never listen to this episode because he's the opposite of an entrepreneur. I freaking love all those people's journeys and yours. I do also love mine, staying 8 miles away from my hometown. But the number one thing that makes me sad is when people embrace their trap and they don't know it. They're like, this is the thing that got me, that scares me, or this is the thing that I'm good at, or this is the thing that my mommy told me I'm good at, or this is the thing that society tells me I should do. I hate this idea that those paths constrain you to this is how a good life should be lived, because most people don't realize you're signing a waiver for a 50-year commitment, because that's how way leads unto way. So the fact that you're going to Oxford and you're going to higher education, I freaking love that you understand how way leads to way, and this is your window. This is your window to get out. The whole concept of before we have kids, I get that better than most people. I can't move to Oxford because taking 5 kids there doesn't make any sense. I would uproot them all. I would traumatize them all. They can't handle it at this age. So you doing that now is brilliant and awesome. And I'm glad that we can do this podcast remote.
I know, it is nice that we can do it remote. There is it's funny, I wrote an essay on it. You have to write essays before you go to college. Nobody ever tells you that. Before you go to grad school. Grad school essays. I wrote an essay on how upwards mobility is possible, but a lot of people don't realize that it's possible. And that's a huge problem within many society, almost every society, and some of them have it worse than others. And this is exactly what you're speaking to. It doesn't matter if you want to move or don't want to move. There is something that you want to do, and you feel like you can't do it. That part where you feel like you can't do it, that is the actual problem. It's not that you can or can't do it. It's that we live in a society that you feel stuck. And that's a myth. You don't actually feel stuck, and you're not.
Right.
But you have the ability to change. So there you go. Also, bro, England's nice. You can get to Rome for $20. It's great. I love it.
You can get to Rome for $20. I love that. Yeah. I was going over all of the continents with my son yesterday, and he's like, they're all named with the first letter A. And I'm like, yeah, Antarctica, Australia, North America, South America, the Europe continent he forgot.
Eurasia.
There's
Russia.
Eurasia or Asia. They forgot Europe. And the reason why is because they were thinking in how large things, when they're picturing the globe from what they've been shown in school. Uh-huh. Europe is amazing because of the access to subcultures and subtly hidden cultures that people don't even realize.
Dude,
what
you
it's
know
like.
What the best hidden culture in Europe is? I've driven all of Europe on multiple occasions. It's wonderful. The best place in Europe that nobody knows about. If you come down from the Swiss Alps, you drive down it. You got to drive down it because it's absolutely stunning. And you're in northern Italy, right when you cross the border, kind of near Lake Como. There is this weird, beautiful culture that Switzerland and it's a little west of that, Switzerland, France, and Italy all combine. And it's this like, what the heck is this? It is so beautiful.
Switzerland, France, and Italy?
Like
combined
they all
in
just
a single
mesh
city?
together. Yeah, like area. It's just their cultures combined.
Whoa.
And it's so beautiful. And I've talked to several people who have traveled extensively, and everybody says the same thing. It's the best kept secret in all of Europe.
Does it have a name? What's that area's name?
I don't know. It's near the Dolomites. It's
you owe us a response to that. You can't just get out of jail free here. No.
It's
next episode. I will ask you. I will remember this, and you come back and you tell us how to look that up and travel there.
Dude, it's like you just cry when you get there. Also, it's cheap. It's great because you're in Italy. Italy's not very expensive comparatively.
Hey, while we're on international travel, can I just say that my business partner in Bangalore, India, just moved to Dubai last week?
Oh,
because they are tax free for all corporate tax. So basically, he can go live there. They want him to live there. They want him to generate revenue into the region, and they have
Dubai is
obsessed
doing
over.
such a gamble, and it's so
Dude,
smart,
it is
but it's
such a
such a gamble.
funny little experiment. He was telling me I got to talk to his wife a little bit this week. Um, she's like, it's beautiful. I'm like, have they planted trees yet? Like I didn't think that it's beautiful. She's like, they've thought of everything.
I've
I
heard
literally
that.
saw a steak that was gold plated being like chopped up and delivered
Yeah.
to the. It is
I've heard that
crazy.
it's super beautiful. I've heard that it's also super quiet. Like you walk down the street and it's
Interesting.
bustling, like you're in the middle of New York, but it's just nobody's talking. Very, very quiet.
Oh, it's private.
I want to know what it's like there. I've never
Weird.
been. I know,
Weird. It'd be
because
so interesting to go spend a month in New York and then spend a month in Dubai.
I have a fear that it's a little bit oppressive. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so here's a funny thing. So I have this belief that I think probably a lot of people share. So I live in Pennsylvania at the moment. There's a lot of Amish here. So Amish are extremely, extremely conservative. I would dare say oppressed. You know what else there is here more than anywhere else? Strip clubs.
Wait,
Com-
in America?
Yeah, well, I guess the biggest strip club population is in I don't know, I think Portland. But right here, you see like 10 signs for strip clubs. You go and drive down the road. And I do think that it is not a coincidence where there's oppression, people obviously swing the pendulum the other way. So it's just kind of weird. So I'm kind of curious with Dubai if there's
That's
anything
interesting.
funny like that there. But I've never been, so I
Right.
couldn't say.
Have you ever have you watched Parks and Recreation?
Yeah, half of it.
Half of it, that is bullshit. You guys need to fix that while you're doing your Oxford,
Yeah, sorry.
rampage or whatever. Literally, there's a Nick Offerman moment where he is referencing a strip club and he goes, "It smells like a wet mop in here." That is the reason why Kendall will never even enter a
Bro,
strip club.
bro, can I tell you my strip club story?
Oh my gosh. Holy cringe.
It's a good story, man. It's a good story. I got to tell you this. Okay. So I'm in Russia, which is also a great start for any story. I'm in Russia. I'm in St. Petersburg, and what happens in St. Petersburg is there's this island you go to for all the bars. It's like 10 p.m. and we're all my friends and I are like, let's
There's
go
an
get a
island
beer.
that has all the bars.
There's an island. There's an island. And it's even better. You're on the
Wow.
island, and there is a drawbridge for the island, and it goes up between the hours of 11 p.m. and 3 a.m., which means if you're there
You
at
can't drive
11:30,
off the island.
can't leave. You're stuck, which is I think that's some pretty poor city planning, in my opinion.
They just didn't want car wrecks.
I don't know what it is, man. It's crazy. So, yeah, I guess maybe if they shut off alcohol at 2 a.m., that would make sense. But they don't. Nobody does that in Europe. Everybody just drinks until the morning hours. And so I'm there, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're just going to grab a drink. And I'm stuck on this island. I'm just stuck in the middle of Russia on this island at this bar. And I didn't realize it, but every bar at this island was this like, it's just topless girls. It was
Oh
the
my
most,
gosh.
yeah, it was really, really jarring because I just didn't expect it at all. And everybody acted so weird. I've never been to a place that ever felt like the other side of the world more than Russia. I've been everywhere.
Wow.
A lot of Asian, a lot of places like that, but people acted differently there. But yeah, it's a fun island. I recommend going, but not past 10 p.m.
Okay, so now that we're on the topic of Russia,
Yeah, maybe we cut that part out. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's great.
That's fine.
Now that we're on the topic of Russia, I really love that we don't live in the era of Tetris. Did you see this movie?
Haven't seen the movie. Love Tetris.
You need to watch Tetris on Apple TV. It walks through the drama of getting Tetris licensed and out of Russia as the Iron Curtain is falling. So it is literally like a Russian inventor made Tetris. And then there is a capitalist obsession over going to make deals to get Tetris to Nintendo, to Atari, to the PC. It goes into all the licensing, like competitiveness. It is capitalism versus socialism in that movie. And they're fair to both sides. I feel they're somewhat fair to both sides. They're showing that like people in Russia really wanted more freedom, but they're also showing the failures of capitalism at the same time. And it was a beautiful Apple TV original.
That's interesting. Okay, I'm smiling. I have a Russia story to tell you. Another one. Um, did I ever tell you that this is funny? So I almost started smuggling goods into Russia. Now that's a really interesting sentence. Dude, so I had a friend who lived in Russia. He lived in Siberia to be specific, and we got to know each other through missionary school of all places. And he found out, he's like, "Man, we need music equipment." And that was very expensive in Russia. And I was like, "Well, let me see how much it costs in America." A third of the price. Just so little.
1/3
Yeah, just
in
ridiculously
America.
cheap. Yeah, comparatively speaking, America is also known for making musical instruments better than anywhere else. So often it's a price hike anywhere else you go.
Whoa, I had no idea.
Yeah, like an American.
So does that
guitar
mean
is
you could
considered-
use the prestige of let's say Fender
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
anywhere else in the world? You could
Yep.
leverage that prestige.
yeah, it's a little bit lesser. So Japan is now on the mark, and so is Korea and Mexico, but mostly America. America instruments are the best, as a lot of people say. So
Wow.
we found out we could ship it in way cheaper. And we found that out because he's like, I used to do this all the time. And so we started like exploring it and maybe kind of getting there. But then that's exactly when, Russia kind of started slipping up. And so we let that project die. But man, I was
Did I
so
tell you-
excited.
Did I tell you that I found from my Norwegian partner? So there's, he's not a partner in equity sense, but he's a buddy that shares an office space with us he's a CTO and co-founder of a company in Norway. We were talking about me getting a Tesla Model X, and he's like, "Oh, you can," because I have a big family, right? So a Model X would let me have an electric car that can fit my family. He's like, "Did you know you can get one of those for US $35,000?" And in America, these are like $110,000 vehicles. So it's like, yeah, you just have to buy one that's 2 or 3 years old. And there is a policy in Norway that the government mandates that if you're at the 5-year like line of a car, the manufacturers have to continue to honor the warranty. So there's this
Whoa.
weird like situation where if a car is 3 and almost 4 years old, you can liquidate that to, for example, to California. And the government in Norway says, Tesla's going to have to foot the bill if there's any problems after this. And you can buy one.
Dude, you should do this.
Dude, it was a weird arbitrage. I'm like, could I do a whole business?
But
this?
Tesla's so big, it would just kind of eventually
I
get
looked
uprooted.
these up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a good business, yeah, but you could make some quick money. Flipping literally Tesla Model X's that are 4 years old-ish, 3 to 5.
Dude, okay,
to
so I was
America
listening.
was
I love
gonna
that.
be
I
the
love that. I love
arbitrage.
that. I'll say this, and then we can go. I'm curious to get your take on it, though. So I was listening to this economics book last night. It's how economics can save the world, and it was talking about how a Swedish, he was an economist. He was living in America at the time, finishing up his PhD, and he was living in D.C. It cost him $3,300 a month to pay for childcare, right?
In which city? DC?
Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Yeah, insane. That is a job. That is an actual job for a normal human being.
Well,
And he was
$3,300 post-tax. Like, so if you pay
that means
40%,
50, like $5,000.
you're 6 or 7 grand, 6 or
Yeah,
7.
it's insane. Yeah, it's dude. I
Because
love
that's
how
not
you
your
think.
only job if you're paying, right? So
Bro.
you have a dual income if you're paying for childcare.
Kendall, I love exactly how you think because this is exactly what he said. He literally said, and that means that's before tax. And so he literally said it's $5,000 or $6,000, which is fantastic. Except for it takes a normal person. It's impossible to do that. So he also contrasted that with life in it's not Switzerland. He was in Norway, I think.
Norway.
He was in Sweden. He was in Stockholm, Sweden. So he contrasted it with that, where childcare cost is subsidized by the government.
That's right.
Because they pay a person
Because they want
for
both people to work.
exactly. That was his big whole point, is that it pays better to have both people work. If you are a low income person, it is more affordable for you to stay home and watch your 1 to 3 children than for you to be out there in the workforce. It just doesn't pay off. But if you have a good economy and they can pay for that, one person can watch 10 kids, no problem, if they're good at it.
Not in California. It's 1 to 8 because of regulation.
Even still, that's double. That's more than double the payoff in terms of that.
Right.
So he goes into the whole thing, how economics can truly save the world with all of that. And it's really, really tough because I want to believe in a better free market economy and a free fall in terms of Ayn Rand and all that stuff, but it just doesn't quite pan out. There does need to be some policy intervention. You should read the whole book. I want to get to the end of it before I talk about it more, but it's fantastic.
So I would put all those things under the scope of power. So power itself has multiple forms. Power, you have influence, you have political power, you have economic power, you have direct control, you have family power. There's these different elements that make up power, and it's kind of a complex subject unless you understand and accept there are multiple forms of power. Religious power, there's a lot of different types of power in the world. And if you go all in on one form of power in your belief system, this type of power is the power that leads us, makes our decisions. What will happen is you're naturally disrupted by the other forms of power. That's what will naturally start to be a cancer to your belief system. If you kind of look at power has many forms, you can now start to build the underpinnings of a society or a system that acknowledges, okay, sometimes it's monetary power, sometimes it's influential power, so media, for example. Sometimes it's governing power, like law. Sometimes it's religious. Sometimes it's familial. If you can have a system that accepts and is honest that all these things affect the average person in a deep way, now you can start to actually pursue a balance and a benefit that works for us all. But we've had so many types of governments and systems in the world that really is like, we're capitalist, or we're socialist, or we're whatever, we're a religious oligarchy. It starts to pretend like other forms of power are not real in the average person's life. And you ultimately end up with an imbalance that needs to be disrupted and overthrown naturally, which hurts a lot of people in the process. But I think the more we can accept how power moves throughout society, the better prepared we are to create a balanced system. Anyways, I'm a capitalist, but the capitalism in me is like, no, there's 5 or 6 other kinds of power that really matter. And money is not how you can't make a perfect system off of a free market.
No, not at all. With
not even like a 70% good system.
There is no such thing as a perfect system.
No,
that's the thing. I think you and I would both agree with.
Yeah.
Have you heard the saying? I forget. Was it Nixon? There was one president who said, "I want a one-armed economist," because most economists will say, "Well, on the one hand, this, but then on the other hand, this." And that's just kind of the shitty part of life, is you kind of have to say, well, nothing is really that perfect. You kind of have to combine all these different things that are at odds with each other. Anyways, hey, my friend, I feel like I should give you a few more ideas, and maybe we should end with that.
Dude, I think the one-armed economist is attributed to President Harry Truman.
Oh, did you look it up?
Give me a one-handed economist. All my economists say, on the one hand, ... on the other hand, ... And the quote expresses Truman's frustration with economists who would present multiple sides of an issue, making it almost impossible for him to make a decision based on their advice.
Dude, fuck you, Truman. He was the worst. Are you kidding me? That's okay.
That's Truman.
It is the mark of an immature person who cannot view two opposing ideas and hold them in two different hands and say, this is just how it is, and we have to learn how to deal with this. I mean,
It is hard for the president who has to make a freaking binary decision. Anyways.
Yeah, but no. But very often in that circle, or in that problem, is they look for a solution, and then they find an economist to say, "Hey, can you find me a system that matches this solution?" And of course, your results are complete. They're made up. They're bogus. Nothing really works in that sense. They're working the wrong way around. Anyways, it's so fat. Okay, the big point is entrepreneurialism saves the world. If you want to figure out all that stuff, it's really hard to change policy. But what's not as hard is changing your system of life and changing that with the people that you know and love around you. You can do that.
Hey, did you know that we're in a recession?
Yeah.
You accept that? Okay. I would like to point out something that's incredibly deflationary. While inflation is running on a rampage. AI is freaking deflationary. As you take average tasks that we all pay for, and you introduce a technology that can do those average tasks, like, for example, me looking up that quote that you didn't know who to attribute to, it saves us time, which saves us money, and we can get the result we want faster. So there's a benefit of AI. I know there's a lot of fear around AI, and there's creative optimism maybe, but like logistic or systemic fear. It is highly deflationary. What you should all expect to pay more for is the physical things that you buy and that you want and that you need. If you want organic avocados, they're going to be more expensive 3 years from now. If you want a faster way to know how to help your Aunt Rhonda with her cancer, that is deflationary. AI will help us figure out the way to help Aunt Rhonda with her cancer. Information is going to get cheaper. Physical goods are going to get more expensive. That's what's going to happen in the next few years. There's very, very few people that would argue at that point. And ultimately, you're going to have to make your decisions based on a world that's changing for the better in some ways at an aggressive pace and changing for the worse in some ways, in some human element ways. And if you want to be part of the solution, you got to be able to incorporate the pace of change and be able to talk about it with your grandparents and your mom and your aunts and uncles and cousins. And I don't know, Dustin, do you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree. Right now, I definitely think the best area of industry to get into is anything physical goods.
Yeah. It's safe. I need avocados.
Safe. Yeah, you could. I mean, you could. That doesn't mean you have to go all commoditized with it. If you were to get into 3D printing and anything in that arena,
where the technical touches the physical.
Yeah,
I love
it'd be
that.
so exciting and so interesting.
Honestly, 3D printing like car parts, like I have a truck that's broken. I need to repair it. Like somebody needs to fix that for me locally. I don't want to have to go do an advanced Google search to find some Chinese company.
Oh yeah, not only that's locally, like part. Literally somebody needs to make the machine that you can park at your house and say, okay, let me go through the Rolodex of things that I need to have done.
Right.
Boom, done. And eventually, I mean, within 10 or 20 years, it's going to be, oh, my child turned 5 this year. Let me scan her sizes, and then you just print out a shirt.
That sounds like great. That sounds wonderful. Honestly, I keep going to Target to buy my kids new uniform clothes because they have to wear uniforms to school. And we fall so far behind on my laundry that sometimes it's easier to go spend $20 on 2 pieces of kids' clothing than it is to like go do 4 loads of laundry and figure out which load that shirt and pants set is in.
Definitely. I so agree. Oh, dude, we have a rabbit trail, and I'm very
dude. This is a fun. I like this. I like this. I agree. This was a good day.
I'm trying to think of like a final question to ask you. Oh boy. Kendall, do you have any unpopular opinions that you believe in?
I think that the number one thing leverage in life is compounding. And that might not seem unpopular, but what it takes to get compounding is unpopular. It's a obsessive hold to what you're doing in a straight line, knowing that the line ahead will become curved up and to the right. Don't give up. Keep going after what you're doing. And that is a conundrum when pivots are the things that might save you.
Okay, how do you do that in a world where you are driven by extremely immediate needs? And those needs are, I have to pay rent, I
Yeah.
have to pay utilities, I have to
Mm.
change my child's diaper, I have to do all of that stuff. So how do you like balance? And in my opinion, okay, I'm speaking independently of you at this moment.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
You have a busy life and you have found a way to do it. How the hell do you do it?
I calculate the amount of hours, 5 or 6 days a week, because we need a break, that I can give to something outside of my family, my diapers, my mess, the adaptations, the changing landscape in front of us, that I can do the same. What are the things that are inherent to human nature that will not change in my lifetime? The way humans are. Everything in front of you will change except the way that men think.
Do you mentally do this? Like logistically?
Which is a sexist phrase that is
Yeah,
attributed to
yeah.
a different historical figure.
Yeah, that's a whole conversation. No, do you like, let's say you're going to bed at night, do you mentally think, okay, I need a portion of time tomorrow and I'm going to do something that's going to pay off in 5 years? Or how do you do it?
No, I just accept some things I choose to be habits. If there's a habit I want to work on this one thing, I just communicate to my friends and family, this is the one thing that I need to do for a while. I'm going to do it and it matters. Let me do it. And then
That's
5 years
good.
later, you wake up and it pays off, but not in 2 years. And so when you're 2 years in and you're like, this is not working, this advice is bullshit. Yeah, it is bullshit in 2 years in. 5 years in, it's not.
Okay, I appreciate that. It's for me doing exactly that. Oh my god, you have to work through so much imposter syndrome.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's
so hard.
Dude, okay. Gary V sucked until he was Gary V. I'm 100% guarantee it, right? Like he totally sucked. Okay, well, I want to ask you a completely opposite question now. You can't be productive 100% of your time, right?
But you can be reproductive. Shout out to the parents out there.
Oh my god, yeah, you are a good example of that.
Sorry,
kids. No, you can't be productive 100% of the time. And you and I have both fallen in and out of that trap several occasions, probably. Like I've overestimated that multiple times, and I'll probably do it again in the future. What's your best unproductive vice that you just say, screw it, I know this is unhealthy, but I'm doing it because I have to turn off? What do you do?
I think the most dangerous thing in anybody's life, especially any business builder, is resetting to zero or negative. If you blow up your life, you reset and you go negative or down to zero. And all the mathematicians can attest to something can't compound if it resets to zero. You can't multiply something times zero and get anything higher than zero. You have to defend against anything that would reset you down to square zero. But setbacks are normal. Setbacks are something we all face. So when you have setbacks, just don't let them slip emotionally or through being overwhelmed or making poor decisions or overreacting to something that will literally reset the patterns in your life. Just find a way to recover. Find a way to not blow up your life. Find a way not to slip into a doom cycle and let it get back to compounding. Time compounds.
Bro. Okay, that wasn't the question I was asking, but I love that you said that. I so disagree with you. Okay. Let me honestly ask you. Okay, have you ever met and hung out with a person whose life hasn't blown up at any point and thought, man, I really like you? Because I make the bold claim that people who haven't just fucked up hard at one point or another in life.
Or unlikable.
Yeah, because they haven't like looked in the mirror and thought, "Oh shoot, I'm the problem," and they've changed themselves for the better. And it sucks to be around that person who hasn't done that. I've been that person, and I resent the old me in many ways. Although I love him because he got me to where I am now. Right?
Yeah.
It's such a
Yeah.
thing. What do you think?
I don't know if I can be absolutist about that, but yeah, a lot of the best people I know have been through some of the most extreme loss that I'm aware of. I don't really trust people who haven't gone through extreme loss. If they don't know what it is to reset and rebuild, then I'm not sure that they're reliable, because I think life has yet to force them to rebuild, and it will. And I'd hope to not let that be on my dime, or in my trust, or in my relationship, or my partnership. I don't know if it's a prerequisite. We can maybe assess that at the end of everything.
Not a prerequisite, but like you can just. I hate to say like ethereal words like you feel it, but that young buck who's just excited about life has no clue, and you just look at him and you smile because you're like, I was you, and I know that you don't know that you don't know, and you will. I can't tell you it. You have to
go through it. You have to go through it.
Yeah, you gotta fall.
I think if you're 23 years old and you're listening to this, or you're 25, 27, you're 31, you're 35, there's all these different ages that have these different statistical likelihood of experiences you've been given. It's important to understand yourself in your own context. You can't be something you're not, and you'll never be something you haven't experienced yet. I hope that I'm a much better and more effective leader when I'm 50. I hope that I'm materially better than I am now. And I expect that. And if I accept that I will be better then, assuming my health doesn't give out, which is why we focus on health, and that's important. Then you need to let yourself off the hook when you're young and just learn, just live, just try things, go for it, get better, and be humble enough to learn infinitely.
Okay, real quick. Objectively speaking, you will be.
Yeah.
Simply because people who aren't are the people who can't look at themselves in the mirror. And I've seen you on a few occasions say, "Hey, I blew it in this moment, and I'm sorry." And that's self-awareness. And if you don't have that, you're not going to grow. You'll pivot to what's going to benefit you, but you're not going to grow in the deeper things. So you're going to be fine with that. Don't worry about that. You'll be, a million.
Remember when Yoda said, fear leads to hate, and hate leads to violence, or whatever the quote is, and violence leads to suffering. I really do think it's imposter syndrome. It's fear. It's these things that make you scared, that prop up an ego. Fear props up an ego. And if you can have more courage, then you will have less ego. I'm not saying you can overcome it completely, but if you can have more courage and just be willing to have pie on your face, and learn as quickly as possible from your mistakes, every other mature human around you will respect that faster. You will be more accepted by the people who are actually moving the world.
Dude, and people will be jealous because a lot of people wish they could do the thing that you're doing, but you're doing it.
It's scary.
And they talk about it. It's so easy to talk about things. It's so hard to say, "Hey, I shipped this product and nobody bought it.
It's not working." Yeah. I had a product shipped this week with my team where we had 350 people click through to the landing page and nobody purchased it. And I'm like, okay, we could wait till next Thursday when we have the full results, and then we could analyze them then. Or we could look at, like, at the best, we're at a 0.3% conversion rate on this. And why don't we just be humble enough to call it now and say, we need to make a pivot now? We need
That's
to
good.
look at this and say, we want a 1 or 2% conversion rate on this landing page.
Yeah.
The more humble you are and the less afraid you are, the more proactive you'll be in the face of something not going ideal.
Mm-hmm.
And that just makes you more trustworthy. That makes you more effective. That makes you better on a team, and people respect it.
I want to. Okay, so in that moment you're in the room, did you say that?
Yeah, I did.
How do people react?
They gulped.
Oh man, for real? And you, good on you, man. You called it.
It's scary to admit that this is still not ideal. They didn't want to measure the results for a few more days.
Yeah, they want to be excited.
And I get it. They
Yeah.
wanted to hold out for the casino gambling that would say, "We did it." But most likely in a few more days, we'll still be facing that this isn't as good as we think we could be. And we'll then make the pivots. And I don't need to formalize that to make the pivots later. Why don't we make the pivots now?
It's good. That's great. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard. You have to be self deprecating. You have to be willing to lose. You have to be willing to not be the smartest person in the room. You have to be willing to ask questions. And it's one of the things why I believe in so much relationship. It's one of the things why, like, we do these communities. It's one of the reasons why, like, I believe in working with like minded teams, because we have to help each other make sense of this crap in order to be high performing. And if we are emotionally intolerant to failure, then we are so unlikely to succeed. It's just a lotto ticket. But if you are tolerant to failure, it's not a lotto ticket. It's just a matter of putting in the time.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I would strongly agree with that.
What a great episode 2. I finished my second Manhattan. I have 2 maraschino cherries in here that I have not eaten yet.
Those are good cherries. Those are very
Those
good
are good.
cherries.
Yeah.
Have you?
This is a
You've
fun
been.
episode, man. Thank you.
It has. Yeah, it has been a really fun episode actually. Thanks for listening to the episode, guys. If you have any questions, come join our community. It's a wonderful place.
You can also DM us on Facebook or Instagram. Wait, we don't have a Facebook. Just Instagram.
Not really. No.
Sorry, that inner millennial was getting a part of me, a hold of me. Yeah, I'd love to support more entrepreneurs on the journey. It's going to be a long journey for us all, and so it's best to not go it alone.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's call it. Let's kill the recording.
Cheers. I'll see you next week.